Hello my dear friends, welcome back to another video. We're now just 2 weeks away from Andor Season 2. I'm so excited to watch it, cover it, and talk to you guys about it. But simultaneously it's a time of very high tension. In the last few months, I've noticed an even greater increase in tribalism and fan division. It's such a shame because we were already a very fragmented group of fans, but now the discourse has become even more harsh, and I'm seeing divisions form over the smallest things, and I am sad to see this. It seems that the way Star Wars is being spoken about is a direct reflection of fan frustration with Lucasfilm, what's being put out. And it has been a strange couple of years, but as someone who's still very passionate about Star Wars, it can be hard to navigate that space, because opinions, whether they're good or bad, are naturally going to be very divisive. But I notice a more abrasive attitude, where a lot of people will take things way out of context. It's unfortunately very easy to be dragged through the mud, labelled and branded. And it's not just specific to Star Wars, but we seem to be losing nuance, and that is such a shame. And in the context of this video, recently there's been a big rift between fans of different Star Wars shows. I've seen Andor fans versus Mandalorian fans, Andor fans versus Ahsoka fans, Acolyte fans against, well, pretty much everyone else. Just joking, but you know what I mean. There's unnecessary division, and often what comes with that is manufactured narratives where fans will try and pit different showrunners against each other, as if there's some kind of internal civil war. And you might be wondering, well, why am I saying this today? Because Tony Gilroy said something very crucial that speaks to recent fan division. So let's talk about this. In a new interview with Empire magazine, Tony Gilroy credits Andor's existence to The Mandalorian, saying, quote, "No Baby Yoda, no Andor." And this is a very rare occasion he talks about some of the other shows. And this took many fans aback, because a popular debate is which is the better show. There are Andor fans who say Andor is the best thing on Disney+, the best thing Disney Star Wars has done, and no show comes close to it. And I've said something along the same lines. I do believe Andor is the best Star Wars TV show. However, I've simultaneously always maintained Andor and The Mandalorian are two different flavors of Star Wars. They're not comparable because they're not the same kind of TV series. They're not the same genre. They're two different kinds of Star Wars. They coexist in the same universe, but they're different time periods with different narrative focuses. Andor is drama and politics, and The Mandalorian is New Republic space western. And I would say, at face value, much more Lucas-esque, although both shows do exemplify different attributes of George Lucas's original trilogy. That being said, some fans like to put the other shows down and say Andor is all that matters. I've seen this amongst fans who don't like the majority of Disney Star Wars, and that is fair enough. But Tony insists the division in the fandom is stupid, because there would be no Andor if it weren't for the success of the first Disney Plus Star Wars show, The Mandalorian. Din Djarin and the magical space baby who stole everyone's heart, Grogu. And then Tony says this: the success of The Mandalorian gave us the platform to jump off. Their success is what fueled the whole thing. Don't think we don't know that. While The Mandalorian and Andor are poles apart tonally, the projects exist in symbiosis, not in opposition. And then he adds, online people try to drive a wedge all the time between us and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. It's horrible what people say. It's terrible. And the truth is, we don't have a show without them. They gave us the muscle to go. One way out. This is the way. I never thought I'd see the day where Tony Gilroy was praising Grogu, but all of this makes sense, because without The Mandalorian, without the success of that show, there wouldn't have been any of the others, even if Andor had been planned for a long time. The success of Andor, and indeed the success of the other Disney Plus shows, are in part thanks to what The Mandalorian pioneered. And what Tony Gilroy's getting at is how Star Wars fans really turned against Jon and Dave, especially after the Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian Season 3. When Andor rolled around, I think with mounting frustrations with other things going on at Lucasfilm, it seemed like the praise from The Mandalorian's first 2 seasons had really died down. So when Andor came around, and it was incredible quality, an amazing story, great writing, great dialogue, that became the new gold standard. And rightfully so. The question we had was, why couldn't other Disney Plus shows be this good? So then, after a few months, The Mandalorian's 3rd season comes out, and it reinforces the notion that out of all of the TV shows, Andor was the very best, and nothing comes close to it. And many held the same opinions after Ahsoka then came out, then The Acolyte, and Skeleton Crew I would say did come close. But Andor was still perceived as being in a league of its own, but it was simultaneously used as a tool to put the other shows down. And as Tony Gilroy says, drive a wedge between the different creatives, forgetting they all work for the same company, and it's all the same universe. I'm a fan who definitely thinks Andor is right there at the top in terms of quality, but I also recognize, despite a few mishaps and foibles, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are still doing very important work. I'm very excited for The Mandalorian and Grogu, and Ahsoka Season 2. I'm not someone who's trying to say it's hopeless, and Mando can't be saved and there's nothing more for Grogu. I've absolutely criticized The Mandalorian's 3rd season, but I don't think The Mandalorian is doomed, and I definitely don't think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are some sort of creative hacks, because there has been a lot of harsh criticism levied at them. Much of it, I understand. I think it's so important to be able to criticize shows, and to say this showrunner, or this director, or this writer didn't do a good job. Criticism is a necessary part of art. But what Tony is getting at is that to discredit the show that started all Star Wars TV shows is pretty disingenuous if you're going to praise the success of Andor. Even if you're not a fan of Mando, Grogu has been a golden goose in terms of merchandising and future stories. I've said it before, my dear friends, but I feel that when The Mandalorian and Grogu rolls around, a lot of casual fans might tune in just because of Grogu. A Baby Yoda species has always been fascinating. That's why you see Grogu on everything. I read somewhere there are 20 different variants of the Funko Pop. So Grogu is very popular, and Tony Gilroy acknowledges this. I think what's really funny about his quote is you can never imagine someone like Tony Gilroy writing a character like Grogu. Grogu is almost the embodiment of everything Andor isn't. He's a literal magical space baby with superpowers, wonder, and cuteness. His purpose is narratively very different. Gilroy is writing scenes where people get tortured for the rebellion, turning their lives around, including political manifestos, ideological differences, but definitely not an alien toddler who was around during the Clone Wars and survived Order 66. But to an extent, it shows the human side of him. Gilroy isn't just a cold political writer, he's still human, with good taste. The Mandalorian is great. It suggests even the most serious creators can have fun, wholesome stuff. And let's be honest here, guys, as a fan of Grogu, he's a character that transcends tone. He's universally lovable. Gilroy is a very different writer to Dave Filoni, but at the end of the day, Filoni has to approve all of his decisions. He is the CCO, so he did have a say in Andor Season 2. But yes, Gilroy, who specializes in morally grey characters, institutional riot, realpolitik, prefers grounded, gritty realism, still has a soft spot for Grogu. But it's more of an appreciation for what The Mandalorian gave him, the ability to make a Star Wars TV show with the trust and faith from both the fandom and other creatives at Lucasfilm. And I know that Andor didn't do half as well as Mando, but Andor and Andor Season 2 wouldn't have been greenlit had it not been for the success of that first season of The Mandalorian. In this interview, Tony also says there will never be a show like Andor ever again, and it's mainly because of the budget and practicality of shooting it. And I wonder how the second season is going to perform. Is it going to be loved but flop like Skeleton Crew, or is it going to do better than the first season? What do you guys think? And what do you make of all of Tony's comments? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.